Hello everybody, welcome to Screen Crush. I'm Ryan Airy. Before we get started, here's your obligatory spoiler warning for Avengers Endgame and a lot of other Marvel movies. So Avengers Endgame really did feel like the end, didn't it? Major characters were either killed off or reached some sort of story resolution. I mean, there were a few teases toward the future, like Thor joining the Guardians of the Galaxy, but for the most part, the movie felt like an end to the MCU. Except, it's not the end. Marvel Studios has their next 5 to 10 years mapped out. And even though the Avengers defeated Thanos, the heroes are going to face some kind of new threat.
There's always a bigger fish.
Now, a new villain wasn't specifically teased in Endgame, but there are a few hints about some much bigger threats to come. Before we get started, who do you think the next Avengers villain should be? Let me know in the comments below. Now, we do know that after Thanos' second snap, the new threat the Avengers face won't come from the Infinity Stones. Instead, it'll come from the lack of Infinity Stones. In Endgame, the Ancient One explains to Banner that the Infinity Stones are a stabilizing force on each reality. I mean, they were, after all, a concentration of each aspect of reality. She explains that by removing them, the Avengers would open up her reality to much greater dangers. For instance, if it weren't for the Time Stone, the Dormammu from the Dark Dimension would have easily taken over the universe in Doctor Strange. But now the MCU has no Infinity Stones, so they're open to attack from all sorts of other realities. Now, let me clarify what I mean when I say other realities. Some of these are the freaky places we saw in Doctor Strange, including the Dark Dimension of Dormammu. But not every dimension is freaky and weird. For instance, every time the Avengers changed a timeline, they created an alternate reality, basically a new dimension. And Baron Mordo issued a strong warning against temporal manipulations in Doctor Strange.
Temporal manipulations can create branches in time, unstable dimensional openings, spatial paradoxes, time loops!
In particular, the warnings about branches in time and unstable dimensional openings are important. By creating alternate realities, the Avengers caused time to branch off. And Steve also created a new timeline by living for decades with Peggy. By creating branches in time, the Avengers left future generations vulnerable to unstable dimensional openings. This could mean attacks from the weirdo blacklight poster dimensions we saw in Doctor Strange, but it could also mean an attack from a parallel timeline or from the future. Like Tony Stark says in the movie, when you mess with time messes back. So the next logical villain for the Avengers to face is Kang the Conqueror.
And there he is, Kang.
He's a time traveler from the future, where humanity lives in peace. But since Kang is easily bored, he travels back in time to use advanced future technology to conquer the past.
Kang is from 800 years in the future, where they have perfected time travel.
2 years ago, James Gunn said that Fox held the rights to Kang since at the time they had the rights to the Fantastic Four. But now that the House of Mouse has purchased Fox,
I, for one, salute our new corporate overlords.
The studio is free to use one of the Avengers' greatest villains. Marvel could adapt the great 2001 Avengers story, The Kang Dynasty. This is when Kang actually conquers the Earth. Now this may seem like a step down from Thanos erasing half of existence, but Kang has access to all of time. He could bring more Infinity Stones from the past, or bring the hero's dead villains to the future. Imagine a brand new team of Avengers without any of the old leadership, now having to face the previous generation's greatest villains. Loki, Ultron, Ironmonger, Killmonger,
What's up?
Ronan, Red Skull, and Malekith, I guess. Or Kang could go into alternate realities to recruit evil versions of our heroes, or bring the Marvel zombies to the big screen. Real quick, just imagine the Avengers fighting zombie versions of themselves. It's pretty sweet, right? And it wouldn't even be the weirdest thing we've ever seen in the MCU.
He's from space. He came here to steal a necklace from a wizard.
Kang is also the next logical step because his arrival would fit the new team thematically. Let's say that Kang was created in one of those alternate realities where the Avengers changed time, like the one where Loki stole the Tesseract. In that reality, some more horrible chain of events happened that led to the creation of Kang.
In my time, I rule all. But a disruption in the space-time continuum destroyed my reality, wiping everything from existence.
So now, the new generation of Avengers will have to clean up the mess that the old guard left behind. And this is pretty much how history works. The Allies won World War I, but the reparations they forced Germany to pay led to the rise of Adolf Hitler. Or think about how the rebels defeated the Empire, but lack of a strong central military led to the rise of the First Order. Anyways, the new Avengers would also face a different challenge. They need to learn to come together. Because Kang has access to all of time, he'll know these heroes better than they know themselves, and he'll know exactly how to drive them apart to prevent them from becoming a new team. Now, as for Kang's identity, I'm going to go off book here and suggest a change from the comics. Instead of being a distant relative of Reed Richards, he should be a direct descendant of Tony Stark. This way, he could have all of Stark's genius and all of his worst qualities. His arrogance, his selfishness, basically who he was before he became Iron Man.
It's a piece.
This would also fit in nicely with the theme that the Avengers have to to conquer the past and move on toward the future. And there's also some in-canon support for the idea that the Avengers cause more problems than they solve. Think about Ultron. Tony creates this perfect AI, this world peacekeeping machine that runs all these computations and figures out that for Earth to live, the Avengers need to die.
I'm a peacekeeping program created to help the Avengers. That is too much. They can't be. There's only one path to peace. The Avengers' extinction.
Ultron must have seen something in his calculations. Now obviously Thanos' snap meant that whatever future Ultron saw didn't come to pass. But in a reality where Thanos never snapped, like the one where Loki stole the Tesseract, this horrible future that Ultron foresaw might actually come to pass.
I traced the cause of the disruption to an anomaly in the time stream. Something that should not have existed in the 21st century. Captain America.
If Kang was from the distant future on that world, he would have plenty of reason to hate the Avengers.
You will pay for this.
We're going to make a video about what's next for the MCU, and I would really like your input in the comments. Who do you think should be in the next Avengers lineup? Limit to 6 heroes with 2 additional heroes on reserve. Thanks for watching. If you're new, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.